This was an unidentified object over Moscow.
Просто в небе что-то болтается на одном месте.
We can see a long thing floating in the air as the picture enlarged. The photographer described this as a standing figure. And it floated the sky for a long time and almost stationary. And similar aerial phenomena have been found all over the world. The guy spotted a long object in the air while driving, which was very similar to the previous one. It was also black. But the difference was that this time the object was moving in the air. This one was similar, too. What do you think this could be? The guy heard some strange noises at home. It was a doll in human form next to the cupboard opposite him. He suspected that the voice came from this doll.
I was hoping this fish didn't move.
So, he began shooting.
What the fuck?
I'm not sure whether if the doll moved by itself or something else. Or it may just be because this doll was not in stable position. While the girl looking after children in someone's house, she found something terrible. Curiosity drove her to take the CD home and try to play, and here came the results. This Japanese paranormal investigation team received a request from Nakayama to investigate the old house where her grandmother lived. According to her recollection, this house was full of mystery, especially the second floor, where her grandmother never allowed her to go up. So, she never went upstairs. As for Nakayama, it was also a frightening place. She had heard strange noises from the second floor in the midnight. When she looked up the stairs, a shadow flashing by. She was scared at that time, and never came back this house until her grandma died a few years ago. This time, she went in with her camera. She wanted to see what could be on the mysterious second flood. This was the video she took at that time. But when she went upstairs, she found a room was locked, apparently to prohibit others from entering. She didn't have the key, so she could only lie prone on the crack to photograph inside.
来像是一个人的脸，难道是有人被关在这个上锁的房间里吗？
The investigation team accepted Nakayama's request and went to the old house. The house was a site of history and mystery.
ホラー映画に出てくる
本当だね。
シーンそのものだよ。もうザ・日本家屋。ありました。すぐあった。
This was the locked room.
映像で送られてきた。
そうですね。同じようなのが。
そうだな。同じ内見場がついてる。
でもどっからも入れんよね。まあでもやっぱこっちにも。
The team found some strange cages. I don't know what they are for. Finally, they decided to pry open the room. They found that the lock seemed to be easily removed from the outside. So, they thought that this lock was to prevent something from coming out instead of entering. This crack was where Nakayama photographed strange things. But it seemed that she didn't notice this thing at that time. What exactly existed in this room? The room has not seen light all the year round and it smelled of mildew. They also found some strange pictures, dolls, and candles on the tables in the room. And remains of animals.
なんかの死
死骸だね。干からびてミイラみたいに鳥。
This looked like an altar.
線香をあげてるんだよ。
I wonder what Grandma worshipped here. This reminds me of animal cages we saw earlier. These decorations and the characters dress up in the photo were very similar to the traditional Japanese wedding costumes. At this moment, the camera seemed to capture something strange. Investigators found that just as they turned heads, the woman in the photo also seems to turn her face. And the camera seemed to have captured this supernatural phenomenon. So, the weird image was distorted, or was the woman actually turning her head? The terrible things continued.
短いもんなんかそういうにして。なんでどうしまった？なんでしまった今？行ってみる。いないや。いやいないよ。いるわけない。いやこっから
見てる。
わかるこれ？こっからこうだよ。
どう映ってる？
ちょっと待って。人ピッチャーそこ影。いや人影が見えてる。すいません。あ、誰かいます？ちょっと開けますよ。びっくりした。
The visitor turned out to be Nakayama. She said she wanted to go into the room to see what was inside. Nakayama went straight to the front of this altar. But then her reaction got strange. She began to talk to herself, ignoring the people around her.
もう初めて。
さんは初めてですよね。入られたのって。さん大丈夫ですか？ちょっと体調悪そうですけど大丈夫です？
There was a sudden problem with the shooting equipment at the scene. While investigators were adjusting.
ちょっと、皆さん、ちょっと、もう行こう。いいから、もう行こう。もういいや、行こう。本当に行きますよ。
Nakayama repeatedly stressed that it was her grandmother's fault. They didn't know what happened. They all frightened by the scenery and rushed out. only Nakayama stayed there. When looking back at the video, the investigation team noticed her strange behavior. She raised a hand as she laughed, seemed to point at somewhere. And she stood on the second floor and watched them leave, which looked very weird. Later, they turned back to complete the previous investigation. But Nakayama was no longer there. And some things in the room on the second floor were also taken away. One of them, Tomo, wanted to finish the plan, staying alone in this room. But the atmosphere made him uncomfortable.
今隣に大きいタンスがあるんですけど、その中に
He felt something peeping at him in the cabinet behind him. What could the shadow be? The camera didn't capture the eyes Nakayama taken before. But it seemed that Tomo was not the only one in the room. Would this be cabinet Nakayama pointed at? The investigation team later tried to contact her again. But the phone couldn't be connected all the time. So far, investigators has not figured out what the real purpose of Nakayama was. What did she mean when she said it was her grandma's fault?